With our new heading, we're now told to write an equation in standard form. So there's a reminder of all the different formulas you have. There's 3 of them. And since this would be the problem we were giving, we'll rewrite y plus 5 equals negative 5/4 times the quantity x minus 2. So they're giving us point slope form, which we need to make into standard form just because of the directions. So as it is, we would normally have something with x and something with y both on one side. And there's no parentheses in the standard form either. So for this very beginning part, just so it's clear I'm skipping a line, you don't need to. But here's y plus 5 equals negative 5/4 x. So I'll distribute this, and then I'll have a negative times a negative become positive, which means that this will be plus 5/4 times 2. I'm just showing that as a step to make it clear. If you wanted to change that to 10/4 or whatever, or 5/2, that's fine by me. Moving on, probably would be nice to simplify this. And so in simplifying, I'll write negative 5/4 x plus a 2 ending up in the denominator gives me 5/2. And when you're dealing with fractions, one of the things I told you, well, you can always get rid of all your fractions. But maybe I'll save that step until the end for this one. So I'm going to make sure that I move x over to one side, and that'll be another step. So here's plus 5/4 x, and then plus 5/4 x. And the reason that I do this is because for it to be in standard form, both x and y need to be on the same side. Leaving me with 5/4 x plus y, because this was positive up here, plus 5 equals 5/2. We can't have anything but x and y over there, so I'll subtract 5 from both sides. And that's going to leave me with 5/4 x plus y equals negative 5/2. Now this means that, you probably would have done some side work over here. Here's 5/2, subtracting 5/1. What you really need to have is 5/2 minus 10/2, which is going to end up giving that. But this should be side work. You don't want this to end up centered in your problem because it gets in the way of the algebra. So make sure you do that as a separate step. And the only thing we need to fix here is, if you remember from the previous section, a and x both had to be integers. And also a had to be positive. So we're good as far as this goes for being positive, but not so much for being integers. So as a final step, if I think about this, I could eliminate this fraction if I just multiplied everything by 4. Well, I do that because these 4's will cancel, leaving me with 5x plus 4y, and then this 4 I'm seeing as canceling out with that 2, but leaving me with 2, and I would have negative 10 as a result there. And if you're less confident with fractions, you can definitely pull out your calculator, or just say 4 times 5 is 20, divided by 2 is 10, and make the result negative. So since they told us to convert this to standard form, we finished that problem. And this one looks to be a little bit more manageable, because we don't have the same fractions problem. But I will remind you of this. At the beginning of the problem, if you wanted to, you could have multiplied everything by 4 to get rid of that fraction even before you distributed it. But a lot of people don't always see that as a step, so because of that, I like to avoid teaching it that way the first time we do a problem. I believe this one's a little bit more manageable, so let's make this a not OYO problem, but I will talk a little quicker. Now we need to have x and y to the same side for it to be in standard form. So here I am distributing the 7 to the x, distributing the 7 to the 5 to get 35. Now I don't like to have x on the right side. Now if you're thinking, well, that was kind of foolish because it keeps a negative out front, that's fine. If you want to go about it a different way, you can. But in subtracting 7x, I end up with negative 7x plus y minus 1 equals a 35. Usually we don't have anything else over there, so we need to be left with just numbers with x and y. So I'll add 1 to both sides, which leaves me with negative 7x plus y equals a 36. And as a final step, you flip all the signs because the value in front of the x has to be positive. And when I scan through this and I look at it, I see that all of my numbers are divisible only by themselves or whatever, so we're good there. I cannot simplify that anymore.